Okay, guys, in this episode, we're going to be talking about some of the college basketball predictions for this year, right? Let's get right into it.
All right, so if we're going to look at the top 25, we got Marquette, and I'm going from 25 to 1. We got Marquette, Illinois, Oregon, Michigan, Missouri, Purdue, St. Mary's, Wisconsin, BYU, Memphis, Kentucky, Texas A&M, Louisville, Iowa State, Maryland, Clemson, Texas Tech, Tennessee, Michigan State, St. John's. Rounding out the top 5, you have Alabama, Florida, Auburn, Houston, and Duke.
Duke fan, by the way.
So who do we think March Madness? And you could obviously say, like, if you need to say Arizona or Baylor or whatever it is, and they're not even in the top 25, or like even Gonzaga maybe. But like, who do you think's coming out? Who do you think's coming out of the March Madness? Who's winning it all?
I'm gonna pick. I know they're probably not gonna be in all different like 4 things, but I'm gonna just say some of my favorites.
Bet.
So, obviously Duke, and the reason I'm saying Duke is not because they're Duke, but because this team is I think 27-3, 28-3, something like that, and it's just a different. Since I've been watching them when they had like Jabari Parker, this is just like a different team.
Jabari Parker.
Shout out Jabari Parker.
Shout out Jabari Parker.
And their defense, man, is outstanding. I think the biggest thing in March Madness is defense because you never really know about offense, and you can have an off night, but as long as you're playing defense, man, right? So I think Duke is one of those teams. I think Houston's a sleeper because Houston, no one talks about Houston, right? But their defense is amazing. Their defense is really slept on. They have a lot of great defenders on that team, but I don't want to start going all the top 5s and shit like that because I also think Auburn. I think Alabama.
I told you.
But another team that is a sleeper. I kind of like Michigan.
Oh.
I do like Michigan.
Wait, Michigan or Michigan State?
No, Michigan State's good, but I like Michigan. Michigan's low. I think Michigan. They've got like a 7-foot center who plays point. I like.
They do.
Yeah, his name's Danny Wolf. He's crazy.
Oh,
He's
I
like
do know
21.
about Danny Wolf.
I know about Danny Wolf too.
Dang.
But I don't know. I was just been watching them. They got a lot of size and talent over there. I think they can be a sleeper, but those kind of some of my favorites. I don't know.
Do you know?
Well, obviously, I got to go with Duke, man. Duke's obviously a top team right now. Obviously, they're number 1. But just how they've been playing together, and it's like they've gotten the freshmen to play at a high level as well. Yeah. We've always seen Cooper Flagg in high school. He's always played at that kind of a high level. But even the other freshmen, I don't even know how to say. It's like Con Newport. Is that how you say his name?
Con Newport. Yeah,
he's nice. Who's the Malawatch? Yup.
Called like, Man.
Yeah. I think just by how they've been playing, they I think deserve it to win it all. I do think it's I've been hearing a lot about St. John's, man. St. John's have been going nuts right now, bro. And I don't know I don't even know the players, but I think it's mainly the coaching and stuff. And St. John's is at 6. That's realistic for how they've been because nobody really hears about St. John's like that. I mean, they did back then, but not right now.
Rick Pitino, right?
Rick Pitino, yeah. I'd say, too, I like Maryland, man. I like the double big that they got going on with Derek Queen as a freshman, which I saw something came out about the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar award. If Derek Queen doesn't win that, they robbed him. Straight up robbed him.
He won't win, though.
He won't win? He won't?
He won't win. They'll probably give it to Broom from Auburn. If you're considering him a big, right?
Oh, yeah, I guess. Yeah, they probably will. Yeah. Dang.
Robbed him then.
Yeah, robbed him then. They got him. Yeah, they robbed him. But I do even think, and then their guard too, Gillespie, bro. He is nice, dude. I think he's averaging like 18, 19 a game right now. Bro's been cooking these last few games. If I had to go a 4th, I'll probably just be a casual, and I'll probably go with Auburn. Like Auburn.
I don't think that's being a casual. I think this.
But I think it is because they're top 3. That's why I'm saying that, because they're the third best team right now. That's the only reason why I say it's me being a casual saying Auburn. But, like, Auburn is nice. Like, they really turned up this year. Like, I'm going to be honest. The boy, what's his name again? Let me see if I can find him. Broom or Brom? Is that how you say his name?
Broom.
Johnny Broom?
Yeah.
That dude, I didn't even know about that guy until this year. Like, he was really cooking. And obviously, SEC Player of the Year. Like, bro really's been doing it for them and stuff. I think he's carried that team to a top 3. And for a minute, they're also top 1. So, like, I think that's pretty good. Ray, what you got going on? Who's your top 4 if you'd say to make it out?
Before I look at mine, bro, I want to ask you guys, like, how many seniors does Duke roll out there?
Duke has... I don't even think Tyrese Proctor's a senior.
I was going to say, I don't think Tyrese Proctor's a senior either.
Do you think
Malik Brown, I think Sion James is. Sion.
Sion, okay. I was just going to ask, though, you think it's one of those things again where, what team was it last year or the year before? They had like a bunch of...
Freshmen?
Yeah, freshmen. NBA player level freshmen. And then they kind of had a little meltdown in the first round. It was with our boy, right? What's his name? Guard, I think.
Guard.
Like,
was
flashy.
it Kentucky?
Yeah, Kentucky.
Oh, Rob Dillingham.
Rob Dillingham. Dillingham and
Aaron Bradshaw.
I know, like we kind of talked about in the last episode, guards are can be hit or miss.
Yeah.
And they got flagged now, which is like a different level because, what he brings on both ends of the floor. Not
for sure.
One, but I wanted to ask you guys before I give my take.
No, my thing with that is like usually like even when it was Zion and RJ and Cam, like I think this team is just way more mature. Like, and the reason I say that is like if you look at Khan, he's not one of those big athletic guys. He plays like he almost plays like a senior. Like if you're just watching him out of nowhere, you'd be like, oh damn, I didn't know Duke had this guy on their bench for 3 years. No, he's a freshman. He's 19, 18 years old, and he's just really high IQ. Cooper Flagg, obviously, I think he's the best player in college basketball. But really high IQ, does everything on the floor. The big man, 7'2", he's not like a high IQ player, but he just does his job, and he's 7'2". And he's
7'2",
fucking 7'2".
I think the biggest thing with this team is, and they do have the kind of their mixture of senior play and like older veteran play with like Sion James. And then you got Tyrese Proctor, Caleb Foster will come off the bench, Mason Gillis and shit like that. So I've been locked in with Duke this year. I think it's a little different. I honestly think this team is better than that Zion team. Hot take.
Ooh, that is a hot take. Zion, Cam, RJ. That is a hot take.
Yeah, that is a hot take. Damn.
I don't think Cooper's better than Zion was, but I think like all the surrounding pieces are just better.
Well, my ball knowledge on college hoops isn't too crazy, but let me give you some of my favorite watches from this year. All right.
Let's get it.
One, Bama.
Bama's fun.
Bama is tough. They got that boy Mark Sears, right? Mark Sears is giving out unlimited buckets. But he's tough, and I think that with their level of aggressiveness too, they have a chance to make a deep run. Duke's the powerhouse, obviously, and likely the favorite to win, I'm assuming. But
I think so.
I think that it'll still be really competitive once it gets to the Final Four or even Elite Eight.
Yeah, for sure.
One team I like too, Memphis. Who's the coach again?
My boy Penny Hardaway.
I've actually watched a few Memphis games. PJ Haggerty, obviously that guy over there, but they have a really like decent roster. But I think that the way that they play in terms of their pacing and their aggressiveness on offense, they play really fast. They board a ton, and I think those little things get you over the hump against like teams who kind of play more at their own pace in the tournament. Because with them, they can kind of beat some variance in terms of like how many shots they're taking, how many possessions they're playing. Like if they're on that night, on top of their boards, on top of their pace that they play at, like it's gonna be hard to stop them in the tournament, especially when we see every year like anything can happen and any player can have a big game. So I think with their play style, they have a decent chance too. Another team I like, Dino already said it, but Auburn.
Auburn, man.
Yeah, I'd say those are my top 3 teams. Not to win it, but top 3 that I've seen.
Like
and
favorites?
that I like, yeah.
Favorites wise?
That I'm
I like
going, that
Memphis.
I'm going for. Memphis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's always that team that you just never really didn't really pay close attention to, and then they're in Elite 8 or Sweet 16 or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
For sure.
All right, guys. So being Fresno guys, obviously I don't know if you guys are paying much attention to Fresno State and the Bulldogs, but there's a lot of stuff going on over there, right? And obviously, our former coach Vance Wahlberg is over there, right? Still love the guy to death, but they are struggling, right? Do you guys have any things you want to see change or thoughts or whatever?
I do think that the whole betting scandal and investigation kind of hurt them. I do think that, and even I saw a fan say it on the news, but he was like, half those losses should have been wins, and who knows if they were betting on them losing or not. So I do think that could have been an effect of some of those, because there were a lot of close games that they had, whether they would go into overtime or I remember they went, when I was at Palm Springs, they went into double OT with Cal Baptist, and they lost. That was back in November, but, like, still, you don't know about any of these losses that were very close and that just could have been a loss due to the fact of gambling, which that sucks for Coach Wahlberg because it's his first year head coach for college basketball. He's trying to, get everything popping for Fresno State again, and I do think next year will be his year, though, depending on who he brings in from the transfer portal, and who knows if he's going to keep some guys or if he's going to not keep all of them or stuff like that. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I think that, when you come in, obviously not saying that the coach before was like some all-worldly coach, but even when you come in and take over any program, first year it's always the hardest.
Always the hardest.
And when you come in and you are forced to bring in guys that, you don't have that foundational set with, like, you haven't had them for however long it takes to build a good program up. You're just bringing them in. Transfers, even guys who are there, like, they haven't interacted with coach. This is their first year, you know what I mean? So a lot of things that factor in with building a good program. And I just think that it was not necessarily expected to struggle, but expected to have some level of, like, ups and downs and throughout the year. And we're just seeing, I think that the lows are, like, kind of, hitting the rock bottom almost. And it's unfortunate, like you said, that a lot of that stuff's going down. But my point is that I have faith that, good things take time to develop. And I think the integrity of the program, the integrity of, like, obviously our ex-coach's actions shouldn't be questioned. I think that he's trying to do the right things. It's just hard when you bring in guys. It's almost like you see in the NBA, dudes signing like 10 days or 1 year minimums, and sometimes it doesn't work out for the most part because they're there. It's more transactional than transformative experience. But when you bring in guys who want to be there, who are there for the right reasons, are there because coach has trust in them, then you could build a better program going forward. So I think that with this chip on their shoulder and this experience behind him, I think coach will know, like, what he has to do to bring in the right guys and whatnot. Not necessarily hunting the biggest 5-star recruits or even like the biggest JUCO transfers, but more so like, all right, these are the guys we want to build our program around. We want to build the blueprint with these guys because we know that they're going to do the right things and they're about the right things. So I think once he gets some guys like that, then when outcomes aside, it'll be a smoother ride. I think, yeah, that's my take.
I think I like what you guys gave. I wanted to ask you guys, with Dino, you been at a lot of the games and watching up front, and Rise, you actually playing college basketball. Right, so you having that experience, what do you see the issues on the floor are? Right? If you guys actually watch the games, and if you want to tell me about that, because I don't really watch the games, so I don't really know. Right, but for like an outside fan who hasn't really been paying close attention to Fresno State, what do you think? What would you say the on court issues are, like with them playing.
Okay.
If you have some.
I was gonna say, do you have something?
Yeah, I got some.
Okay, say it real quick so I can start thinking.
I've been to like a few of their games live, but I've also watched some of their games online. I think that one thing is like wins and losses are a thing in their own. You know what I mean? Like you could play a perfect game and come out with an L, but you can also, like our coach always says, like winners know why they win and losers question why they lose. I feel like Wahlberg obviously knows how to win, but what he's thinking and what's going on in his mind, I feel like there's a disconnect between the players and how to like do that on the court. I feel like obviously with their roster, they were running out like games with like 7-8 people. That obviously has like a big factor. But excuses aside, I feel like that disconnect between what the coach is trying to do and what the players are doing on the court is crucial. And then obviously me playing, like a big thing that I noticed that transcends your ability to win a game besides of who's out there on the court is your scout knowledge and your execution. And I feel like when I was watching games live, the kind of like scout knowledge, even on yourself, like what can I provide and what do I have to do to win this game, was kind of like missing. Like there's dudes that on that team I feel like can contribute a lot more on both sides of the ball, but just a little bit questioning themselves of like, you know, first year in the system, what kind of shots, you know, because it takes a while to develop that. What kind of shots does coach expect me to take, or like what kind of shots is this a good shot or a bad shot for me? Not necessarily for themselves, but also to win the game and stuff. On defense, like preventing the team from having the success in the way they want to have the success, you know, like just, that stuff. I feel like the scout knowledge and game execution could be a lot better next year too. And that has to do a lot with the players, and just buy-in. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you know?
For sure. I think I would say this too for Fresno State's instance. I want to shout out a couple guys that are on this team too. I want to shout out Elijah and Brian, bro, because you got both these guys are freshmen and they're coming in and they're doing their thing and they're like carrying the team in my opinion. I think with Elijah been averaging a double-double the last few games, and then Brian first was coming off the bench, dropping 10 plus points a game off the bench, and now he's starting doing the same thing. I think that's good how they carry themselves as freshmen. So then my kind of thing is, if those two guys are the only, you can't rely just on two guys to play the whole game. You need more players, and I know he's been sticking to like a 7-8 man roster too. I understand that, but these other guys need to produce, whether it's hitting shots or even too. I even think about rebounding is a big issue too. With what that I've been seeing is on like the ball is right in front of you, but you're just ball watching. You're not even gonna go and try to get the rebound. So I think that is a big issue too. Coming in that, I think plays are good. I think it's just, and shot selection is another thing, but with college it's very different from if I'm saying a high school shot selection versus college, and I've been told that it's very different. But in my opinion, I don't think it's as different as it is high school. I just think taking smarter shots or making the right passes, I'd rather make a right pass than take a dumb shot. So, because that could always lead to either you getting a better shot, or that could lead to them or to your team scoring. So that's my opinion on the whole Fresno State, you know, watching them live in person. So I think that's some things they can work on. And I think next year, hopefully, transfer portal wise, they might be able to get more guys, more productive people. So guys that will like Vance, like his offense, and just want to play for him. And I think he's going to get that done for sure next year. So that's my opinion,
If I may, real quick, with the shot selection comment, like I feel like playing college basketball too, myself, obviously Division II and D1, in terms of differences, like I feel like the athleticism, but in terms of like the way you approach college basketball, it's damn near the same. You know what I mean? Like it's just the athleticism, the size, a little different. But for that shot selection thing, I feel like that's kind of what I was getting to too. Like executing the game plan within yourself too. Like there's always a grade you can give yourself when you take a shot out there. You know, one, obviously, did it go in or not? And then you can also rate it based on, like, was this a good shot for me, my skill set? And then third is, like, was this a good shot in the time of the game? Like, was shot clock going down? Did I have to rush? Or was it, like, they were leaving me wide? I was wide open, you know, it was a good shot. Like, there's a lot of different ways to grade shot selection.
For sure. But
I feel like it's harder when you got guys coming in and they want to kind of prove themselves, and you know what I mean, and you they want to almost like perform well to get out of there, you know what I mean, like, so I feel like once you build a good foundation, again, it just goes back to getting the right guys in there to build a program, but once you get that, then it'll be easier to grade that shot selection too per person.
And I'll say like this, like, let me ask you, you're a college basketball player, what would you say is a good field goal percentage?
I mean, college hoops, it's always a little lower. Like, you see the NBA, there's 50, 40, 90 guys.
Exactly.
And I feel like percentages don't tell the full story. But like we could even shout out like Cole, you know what I mean? He's like leading the country in three-point percentage, you know what I mean?
He's shooting 50%, 51%.
And I'm sure his 3-point attempt rate is insane too, so that's mad impressive, right?
For sure.
And that tells like a good story. Like, he shoots a lot of threes, he makes them at a high rate. But when you look at like maybe a guy who has the ball in his hands more of the time, has to take a little bit more, you know, off the dribble and stuff like that.
Let's say Cedars, for example.
Yeah, like his might be a little lower, you know what I mean? So it doesn't necessarily tell the full story, because it depends on your usage rate, depends on what type of shots you're getting. But for the most part, you want to be at least at the averages for each whatever level you're playing at, because if you're not at the averages, then it means like it could mean a lot of different things. One, you're obviously just bad at shooting, you need to shoot a little less, or two, the shots you're taking are a little too difficult, you need to take better shots. So it doesn't tell the full story, was what I'm trying to say, but at the same time, you should grade yourself to be at least average if you're a good player and above average. So 50, 40, 90 club is what, like, textbook for a great player, but at the same time, everyone's not going to reach those quotas. Like, for me, I wasn't 50, 40, 90 club. I had a high 3-point attempt rate. So like my threes were damn near the same percentage as my field goal, because like I shot a lot more threes this year than twos. So
for sure. Okay. Because like how I see it is like, okay, if we were to look at the starters now for Fresno State, all right, you got 44%, 49%, 40%, 42, and down here 42. Okay. Then you had the three guys that obviously aren't playing for them no more. It's sad to say, but you know it's also business too. So you know they gotta understand that. You got 37%, 38%, and 31%.
See, like, yeah.
And then if we were to say like, I don't know, like how many shots, like look at 47 makes out of 126, and that's a total.
Yeah.
Okay, 108 for 284.
Yeah.
Okay, 55 for 175. Versus all these other guys are above 40%. Then if we were to say threes, 24%, 31%. And that's another thing I'll say about Fresno State. They need more shooters. Need way more shooters. They need 3-point shooting. A lot of these guys, they're like, when I see them in practice, and I've been to a couple of their practices, I see them shooting in practice, I'm like, okay, they ain't bad. Then I see them in game, it doesn't translate.
Do they have any seniors or no seniors?
Well, the senior got kicked off. Okay. But yeah, so that's the so I do think they do need more 3-point shooting. That will also help them next year, because I do think Vance's offense is dribble drive. We all know about the dribble drive. We've all played under the dribble drive. It is mainly to a big part of it is about 3-point shooting, and that's how he created it to be. So I think that's how we had very successful, because we all had very good shooters on any team that we played on. So I do think that's a big thing for Fresno State as well, as their 3-point shooting. So, yeah. We're going to hop into a little rapid fire question. Okay. You know, college is coming to an end. The NBA draft is going to happen in a couple months. who do you think will be your top 5? And I want you to stop from 5 to your number 1 pick.
5 to number 1 pick? Okay.
5 to number 1 pick.
No, I think this draft is really good. I think this is one of the better draft classes because there's so much like star potential. My number 5 would probably have to be Trey Johnson from Texas. Just his shot making ability, I think he's like somewhere around 40% 3-point shooter. Takes a lot of shots, can make shots, solid on defense. I think he's really good. I think he can be a star in the NBA. Works really good in this area of the NBA, just shooting a lot of threes. I think he'll be really good for whatever team he goes on. Number 4 would have to be a guy who I seen before in the summer. I think he was playing for, what team was he playing for? Was it during the Olympics? Who was he on? I forgot. But he was like one of the better players on that team, playing against like the USA and all that. Like he was balling. But VJ Edgecombe. Bahamas.
Oh, the Bahamas. VJ, yeah.
Playing with Buddy Hield and them, right? And I mean, you talk about Buddy Hield, who's one of the better shooters in the NBA, who's actually producing on the Warriors right now, right? So VJ being like, he was looking better than Buddy. Like he was looking like one of their best players. So just his athleticism and his size, I think he's like 6'4", 6'5", right? Kind of built like Anthony Edwards, a freak athletically. And then he can also handle the ball, play defense. I think he's just another guy who can really be a star and have that superstar potential in the NBA. And then we get into the top 3. And this is where it gets interesting. My number 3, and a lot of people disagree, but my number 3 is going to be Ace Bailey, right? Ace Bailey. 6'9", shot creator, can shoot it from anywhere, do anything offensively. I also think he can be a superstar in the NBA, but I more so think he's at 3 because of how good Dylan Harper and Cooper Flag are. Right? Ace Bailey, just to be that big and have that much fluidity in his game, move like that, I think that's insane. I think wherever he goes, he's going to be an instant impact. But, right, this is the first time I'm critiquing a player because he's not top 2, and people are going to have that conversation. I just think his shot selection is going to be something that he's going to go into the NBA and they're going to have to fix. And as long as he fixes that, he'll be perfectly fine because he's still like making a lot of shots in college basketball, right? But a lot of them are long twos, right? So you get into the league, that's like one of the worst shots. And I hate because Paula takes a lot of them, but that's one of the worst shots in the NBA, right, statistically. But I think he'll fix that because he's just a freak athlete, and he has a good handle, good shooter, so he'll probably fix that. At number 2 is Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper, the only reason he's not won, he would have been won last year's draft, maybe the year before that. The only reason he's not won is because of Cooper Flag, right? Dylan Harper can handle the ball, play defense. He's 6'6", has a size, can shoot the ball, can create for others, make his teammates better. He's playing on that Rutgers team, man. He's getting double teamed. Either Ace is getting double teamed. They're just going through a lot. If he was on a team like a Duke, or even like, let's not even go that far. Let's go like a team that's right out of the top 25, a Baylor, or maybe like an Illinois, right? They're a top 10 team, right? He's that good, right? But he's playing with that Rutgers team, and they're just not that very good. So it's hard for him to create for others when they're missing those shots. But he's really good player. But at number 1, my boy from Duke, Cooper Flag. I think he's going to be a star in the NBA. More than other people think. There's some guys like Gilbert Arenas who thinks he's going to be like a really good second option. I think Cooper Flag is going to be a first option. Right? Depending on the team he goes to. Obviously, if he goes to like a Pelicans, I don't know if he can be the first option with Zion still there, but if he goes to like the Wizards, you got to build around him. Nets, you got to build around him. Bulls, you got to build around him. Like teams like that, you just got to build around him because he's really easy to play next to. Right? If you're looking at the Duke team, everybody's still getting their stuff off with him scoring 20. Right? Khan's still scoring. Tyrese Proctor's still scoring. The big man's still scoring. Whoever. Right? Everybody's getting their stuff off because his game isn't like very ball dominant. Right? And then I think the best thing that he provides is his defense. His defense is just – he's going to be one of those players defensively that just changes your team, kind of changes how other teams can go and attack you and game plan against you because he can just block shots. Very good rim protector. He can guard one-on-one, right? Great help side off ball, like weak side defender. Like he's amazing, man. But that's my top 5.
Now, Sel, thank you for your top 5.
That was long. That was fun.
Production here, crew asking, do you have a sleeper pick that you'd like to shout out in this upcoming draft? Somebody that you want to get eyes on early, who's maybe not even a lottery.
Sleeper pick. He's from Duke too. But I think Duke has a couple. Not Con. Con, I think people are starting to see him. He's coming off the bench right now from Duke. 6'7", one of the top guys in the country, right? Isaiah Evans. Isaiah Evans, man. To be 6'7", 6'8", 6'7", 6'7", 6'8", and the way he shoots the ball, man. Oh my God! Like he's like almost like 50% from 3. Like, on Duke, like you're playing with Duke. You know what I'm saying? Like you're playing it, you're able to go against North Carolina, and they beat Illinois by like 40. But like Jesus, like he's the shooter he is. I think people should really watch out for him. I'm trying to think if I want to have to pick somebody else off of Duke though. Who's somebody? I think Derek Queen doesn't get talked about enough. I think somebody else said it. If he was a white guy, then he would be like a top 5 pick. I don't know about all that, but he's really good. Like he's that big for his post footwork, his creativity, whatever. He's really good. But yeah, that'd be my sleepers. Okay, we got the guy Dino here. Question for you, right? We're staying on the college topic. The NBA draft is coming up. Who are your top 5 picks? Predictions? Go for it.
Yeah. So I think at number 5, I'm gonna put the boy up there because I really like him. I think he's a double machine. In Derek Queen. I think Derek Queen does not get as much respect as he should, but I do think he will be number 5. All right. If I go number 4, this is going to shake some heads, but it's just because he hasn't been as productive as everybody hoped for him to be, and maybe it's because he's on a bad team, and he also has a phenomenal teammate next to him as well, but I think Ace Bailey will be number 4, and that's because I think we hit it right there with the shot selection, but also at the same time, he needs to do more for his team, as in rebounds and assists too. And I think that's something I've seen in him. If I were to go a 3rd, I'm going to take the boy VJ Edgecombe. I like Baylor. That was a great pickup from them. And I think for any team, it's going to be a steal for them as well. I think he does everything, rebounds and assists as well. And his defense is quite not there yet, but I think it's going to get there eventually. And I think playing alongside whoever will build up his confidence. And I think a team can either build around him or him and another star player that they have. 2, we're just going to head it off with Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper has been doing a lot for his team over at Rutgers. I think that's why I say that he's better than Ace Bailey, in my opinion, even though obviously size difference is also a big thing too. But if we're going to talk about who provides more for the team, I do think it is Dylan Harper. I think if he wasn't there, Ace Bailey wouldn't be getting his points like that, because I would say Dylan Harper averages the most assists on that team to where he'd be passing that ball to Ace Bailey so he could get him some shots as well, while also providing his own. Then, number 1, everyone knows who number 1 pick is, man. It's going to be Cooper Flagg. Stop playing with it. Like, Cooper Flagg, he's in my opinion, he's an athletic Larry Bird. That's literally how I compare him. He's a more athletic Larry Bird. And, yeah, he does everything for his team. He double-double. He's been getting a lot of those recently at Duke, and he's carried his team to another number 1 seed probably right now in the top 25 right now for college. So I think any team should build around him, like Marcel said. Whether it's, a bad team or Even if you got to trade for him, I think if a team could trade for him too, that would be nice too. Because I would trade I'm not going to say I would trade a star player, but I would trade a second or third option to pick up Cooper Flag. Yeah. He's only 19 years old. Like, let's be honest now. So, yes,
Dino, thank you for your top 5. Same question here, coming in from the production squad. Do you have any sleepers you'd like to shout out?
I think some sleepers I would like to shout out. Let me see real quick. Hold on.
Or just somebody you haven't mentioned.
No, okay, I do actually. It's a homeboy from BYU. What's his name? Like it's like Eager or Edgar
Demon or something.
Demon or Denim.
Demon home.
Demon home. Yeah, bro. Like he's nice, bro. Like, and I don't think he's been getting a lot of talked about because he's been playing at BYU. But I think he will probably be a steal of the draft. I think same has Jared McCain was this past year or Dalton Connect was. I think he will be a steal of the draft, or even like Misi, how he was. I think he's gonna be very productive for any NBA team that he goes on. I think him. I would say I like Jeremiah Fears, man, from Oklahoma. He's nice, dude. I think he's probably either the or one of the best point guards in the draft that you could pick up. I mean, he's easily. I think he's top 2, but he could be top 1 if really wanted to be productive wise. Yeah, those would be my like sleeper picks, I would say. But yeah, that's my sleepers and that's my top 5. All right, guys, we're going into the top 5 NBA draft picks. Who we got? We got a couple months. We got to figure this out.
All right, y'all. So y'all are going to hear my quick hot takes, all right? So number 5. All right. I got that boy, Trey Johnson. Look, I like his game, man. Shot creator, can create his own shot. And I think at the NBA level, a lot of things don't necessarily transfer, but with his skill set and his ability to perform at that level and, you know, do things on his own, I think that stuff is very important, and it's harder to find compared to like a guy who, you know, is a great standstill shooter. You know, it's not going to be as dynamic. Number 4, another hot take. And it also obviously depends on the order of the draft, but number 4, I got the Duke center. How'd I say his name again? Come on. Yeah, this might be a crazy take, but I think teams are going to look at his prospect or his draft profile. They're going to see 7'2". They're going to see athletic prospect, raw guy, and they're going to transform him into something that, you know, is very valued in the NBA. Size on top of defending the interior. You see bigs like that, like Lively, Gafford. Those are on the same team, but like those two guys, they're very valued. And I think that teams are going to look at him and see something like that in him. Obviously, they play very different, but just an athletic freak that he might not defend the rim well right now, but I think things like that can be developed and taught in the NBA. Number 3, I got VJ Edgecombe. This is going to be spicy. All right, but number 3, I love VJ. I think that size, that build, and, you know, just his ability to compete is unmatched in a lot of prospects in the lottery. I think that his comparison, you know, Andrew Wiggins, that's like one that's going around. I think he's even more athletic than that. Obviously, Wiggins was an athletic freak in his prime, more so in his younger days, but I think like his takeoff speed is just like hitting the ground, going up, you know, absorbing contact, stuff like that. I think it's very valued in the NBA, especially coming out for the draft. I think teams are going to look at him and see that they can develop him. And it almost reminds me of like Anthony Edwards, not necessarily that much hype around it, but like where he was an athletic freak in college and then boom, they worked on his jumper. They worked on his work ethic. They worked on, you know, him. You saw in the USA team, him defending, picking up full court, stuff like that. I think VJ has the same kind of build. Number 2, I got Dylan Harper. So you guys might see who I'm leaving out by now, but I got Dylan Harper. Obviously, we said a lot about Dylan Harper. He's just a complete player, man. Complete player. just a guard. Those are always valued in the NBA. A guard who can create for others, create for himself, and is really level-headed, can really just impact your team in so many different ways. And the fact that he can score at the rate he does, like by will almost in the college level, I feel like that's going to be amazing for any team to pick him up. Number one, obviously, Cooper Flagg. I'm curious to see where he goes as well, because I think that Flagg is a generational talent. I think that with the talent around him at Duke, he may have, obviously he's still projected number one pick, but I mean, in terms of like Wemby, his hype around him, or like a lot of the number one picks we've seen their hype, I don't think Flagg is getting that like national, like, oh my gosh, teams are going to be transformed when this guy comes into the league. Maybe not until the tournament, but I feel like whoever gets Flagg is going to be able to, like, not necessarily compete, but they're going to have a keystone of their franchise for the next however long he stays there. And then you guys know who I left out. I obviously left out Ace Bailey, and here's why. I think that his tunnel vision is kind of evident on film. I feel like when teams pressure up on him, they can kind of expose his one-dimensional play in terms of just being a scorer. I feel like in the NBA, you see guys who aren't as physical, or kind of have one dimension. They kind of struggle at first when they get into the league. Not saying he's not deserving of a lottery pick, but I'm just saying that teams may value some other skill sets and some other, like on the court things that they get from other players compared to Ace. And not saying that I don't like Ace's game or believe in his shot making ability. I just feel like there are like evident holes in his game that are kind of being covered up because of the college level. And when it gets to the NBA, things might not translate as well, because the shots you shoot, if you shoot harder shots, you're going to have to be able to like do that at the NBA level compared to the college level. And I feel like that's just going to be a hard thing to do.
So ending with their top five and your reasoning for Ace Bailey not being there, do you have any sleeper picks that you would say that teams need to look out for, or even teams with multiple draft picks should pick up just to help out their team succeed?
I mean, you already shouted him out, but that boy from BYU is nice. And I feel like his just like the way he plays, man, you can just tell he's a hooper. And I feel like, dudes who don't profile as athletically gifted or as like popular often get overlooked. But when they have that, I don't want to just say like ball knowledge, but because that's like a bad way for NBA teams to draft. But like if you really watch his games, man, the way he's thinking the game, the way he's playing it, it's a pro level, and his production matches along with it. It's not just like this guy, knows how to play the game and his production is off. That's not the reason. It's just that, he may not be as tainted as the top 5, top 10, but I think he's going to be a great pickup for anybody who wants to take a shot at him.
All right. Sel, start us off.
Right into it. Well, talking a little bit, we've seen our takes, and we kind of want to get into some arguments here, a little rapid fire arguments. One, Maluaj or Derek Queen?
You already know who I say. I say Derek Queen, man.
So the reason I say like a man, Maluaj, is kind of what we were talking about with Rise before when we were kind of offset. I think the production of NBA in college is different. I think right now Derek Queen has the ball in his hands a lot more. Yeah. But he's not going to have the ball in his hands in the NBA like that, especially coming right into it. Now, if you give him a couple years, maybe like if he gets better and they start playing through him, okay. But I think man playing off ball can translate into the NBA like right now, like rookie year, second year, I think. So.
Yeah, I think. See, I've been watching Maryland a little bit because obviously I'd be betting on them and stuff like that. But but honestly, it's like I think you're incorrect on that when you're talking about Derek Queen having the ball in his hands more. It's more of the guard Gillespie, and then I think their other big. I can't remember his name either, but the other big be averaging more rebounds than him, low key. But if we're gonna talk about going into the NBA. And obviously, I understand how if we're going to say, like, right now, college-wise, I think Derek is better than Man because obviously Duke has more players around him that's gonna score the ball. He might even get out rebounded by like let's say Cooper or like Con. Is his name Con, right? Guys like that versus Derek Queen only has one guy to really worry about, and he's really honestly not worried about getting that many points because he knows he has other guys on his team to do so as well. But I think if you're an NBA team and you're looking for, I don't know, like if I were to say his comparison right now.
But that's my thing, right? He's better in college. If you look at like the Auburn dude, right? He was 23. He's also better in college right now, but that doesn't mean he's going to be a better NBA prospect.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? Like 7'2", 270. People, I mean, they're not wrong to look at him and go, "Oh my God!" Like if I put him by one of my best players, what is that going to do? If I put this guy, Spurs have a top 5 pick. If I put this guy by Wemby and let Wemby play the 4, would you rather draft him or Derek Queen? No, you're going to draft the 7'2" dude because now he just gives you a lot more, especially in the NBA. He's that lob threat. I think with Derek Queen, you're kind of depending on him because he's he's 6'10", 6'9", so he's a smaller center in the NBA. And he might be really skilled. I'm not saying he's not because he really is really skilled. But I'm just saying, I think in the NBA, for him to be more effective, I just think he needs the ball in his hands more.
Mm-hmm. See, here's my thing, all right? You see, like, this is obviously a way different player comp, but, like, I'm reminded of, like, a Jahlil Okafor type of, like, deal in terms of, like, guy who's really skilled in college. Obviously, he's more of a back-to-the-basket guy, you know, compared to Derek Queen who can shoot it and handle it. But just, like, super skilled, amazing production, but in terms of, like, his defensive ability, and because I know Derek Queen isn't like necessarily, you know, if he plays center, then he's gonna be matched up on 7-footers. He's gonna be matched up on guys who are more physically capable on the inside on offensive rebound and stuff like that. And he can do a lot on offense, Derek Queen. But like Sel was saying, I think that Duke guy, like, he's gonna profile really well. And I think there's a case Derek Queen goes top 10 though. I really do.
Yeah.
Because, like, I feel like teams who may value that, like, can go up on him and bet on him that he's gonna be good, even like as a secondary or third. Because obviously centers usually don't handle the ball like that in the NBA.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
I feel like there's an argument for both, but I do see I do see the Duke guy going ahead of him right now.
For sure.
But I want to segue into the next thing, if that's all right.
Let's go.
So we were discussing about Ace Bailey, and because we kind of all said different numbers for him. I said he was in top 5. Sel said number 3, I believe, and Dino said number 4.
Yeah.
So we kind of want to talk about why. All right. So one, I kind of already discussed it before, but I just think that when you're going to the NBA and you're facing those kind of defensive schemes and, you know, things where like shots where you have to shoot over more physically capable guys who, you know, also are more athletic, guys who have had pro experience and know how to guard you on that level, it's going to be a lot harder to play the same way that he does currently when you get to the next level. And I just think that even if he does go top 5, not saying he's going to be a bust, but I do believe that there could be some struggles in his early career when he's figuring it out. Unless he goes to a team where he can just, you know, chuck shots. But if he goes to like
Charlotte, a
team that like, you know, is trying to figure things out, do it the right way, where he's going to be kind of on a shorter leash, I think there may be some struggles early on.
For
What
sure.
do you guys think?
I agree
why
with
he's
that.
not your top 5, or why he's not your top 3?
Yeah, I kind of gave my explanation earlier about it. Well, he just needs to do more. I feel like he's allowing Dylan Harper to, like, obviously that's good for Dylan Harper and like he's doing the most on the team. But I think but if you're going to be a top 3 pick and that's what you're projected to be, I think you have to do as much as he's doing right now. And right now he's not. He's just like we said, he's just shot chucking right now. Field goal 3-point percentage isn't as high. The amount of shots, like I saw the other day, he was like 2 for I think it was like 11 or something like that out the game, and I'm like, you can't do that, bro. You can't do that in the NBA.
Yeah.
You can't be a top 3 pick putting up 4 points a game, bro. You just can't. That's not how it works, bro. I mean, so what you think?
Well, I had him at 3, right? So I actually had him over VJ. But I think he is. I do expect him to struggle. Like, that's my thing. I expect him to go in and struggle, but it also kind of depends on which team is up there, right? So if you have say the Pelicans are up there, I don't think the Pelicans are going to pick Ace. I think they're going to go for more of a VJ. Just I don't know. I think his problem is, like you guys are saying, it's the shot selection. It's the just score. It's not, okay, let's worry about the defensive side of the ball. It's not the playmaking. It's not the rebounding more. It's not. So he's got something. But at the same time, the reason I have him at 3 still is if you just go get a coach who focuses on those things, right, it can be like a 180.
That's fair, yeah.
Right, like the upside of it is and that's kind of a lot of times with potential in the NBA and how guys draft, just his upside, him being that shot creator, him moving so fluidly and just that athletic is kind of why for me, is why he stays in that top 3, because if he can turn that corner, he can get to the basketball, and he can be like, oh my God, that guy's open over there. If he can start hitting that pass, he can be a really dangerous guy. So.
You know what? Different player type, different player profiles, but same storyline. You know what this storyline reminds me of? It almost reminds me of Jalen Green in a way. A guy who's obviously, they were going to be physical with him coming out the gate. Yeah. He wanted to score. His playmaking was in question. A lot of the same stories. Yeah. But you see Jalen now with Coach Ime. He's actually playing really well for his team and has found a role on top of being able to score, and his playmaking's increased. Yeah. So I agree with Sel. If you get him in the right coaching system, you get him under the right coach, he's going to be able to transform his game just based on the athleticism profiling and his ability, even the way he his shot making ability, stuff like that. So I think I agree with Sel, but I still do think that he could end up. I do think he really could end up over Trey and the Duke Center around 3, but I can see why teams would pass up on him too, based on where the lottery shapes up.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you know?
Yeah, let's go into Cooper Flag. Now, there's always word on the street has been that he might stay at Duke, and that he might not even hop in the draft right now, bro. So, almost. Good save. Do you think it would be better or worse for him to play one more year of college?
I mean, shit. Hey, for me, I would love that. I'm a big Duke guy, so I'd love that.
But for Cooper's sake, so if you had to be in Cooper's shoes right now, would you want to play one more year of college or go straight to the league, knowing that you're going to be the number 1 pick?
Knowing I'm going to be the number 1 pick. But I also know that if I go back to Duke, I can work on my game. I'm still going to get paid, right? And my family's probably, I don't know how they're struggling, if they're struggling or not, whatever. It seemed like they're not struggling as a family, so it's not like you're one of those situations I got to go get paid. But you're still getting paid at college. You're still getting paid at Duke. So I think it's just him and what he wants. Why not go back to Duke? I see the benefits of going to the NBA. Obviously, you're in the league now, and everybody's expecting you. You have all these expectations. But at the same time, I just think you can still go get even better at Duke. I see the risk, though. There's risks if you get injured and all that. But I don't know. I think it's just up to him.
I'm a strict believer in going when you can. I feel like you see Johnny Juzang. You guys remember his hype? Yeah. He was literally projected lottery, and then he went back. And Flag is, don't get it wrong, Flag's a way better prospect and way better college player, way better basketball player. But it just reminds me of that when a guy who is able to go and get drafted and then start his next chapter, comes back, underperforms, injuries, et cetera, et cetera. I just don't like taking that risk. So I think it'd be better for Flag to go to the league.
For sure. I kind of think I think it's cool for him both ways, but at the same time it's also bad for him both ways. Maybe who knows? There might be better prospects coming in next year that could always have a better year than Cooper, to where they could get that number 1, number 2 pick over him, and especially that he's getting older too, and you got all these young guys. But at the same time, either way, you're gonna get paid. Like, I think I saw something where Duke would, I think it was like they offer him $2 million or something like that to stay at Duke. So either way, you're gonna be getting that from your rookie contract. I mean, shoot, look what LeBron did for Bronny. He got him like $2 million a year, $2-3 million a year. Like, he's either way, he's gonna get paid. And then I think if he goes back to college, even playing with like the Boozer twins, they're at Duke next year, so they might mess around. They could go, if Cooper were wanting to say, oh, I might want to go back to back if they win this year.
Mhm.
He might be able to go back and win next year.
Or
You know?
even if they lose, then he's like, I'm gonna get one before I go.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all. So I think, honestly, I really do think he should just go straight to the league and just get that number 1 pick, and then just start becoming a generational talent. But obviously, like we said, it's up to him. Whatever he wants to do, if he wants to stay back or not. But I just think going straight to the league is an easier route.
Real quick, who do you guys think his comp is? Like, I was looking at that, I was like, oh, that's kind of hard.
What names did you see?
I've seen Grant Hill. I like Grant Hill. I've seen it like Scottie Pippen. I've seen Jason Tatum. He has a little bit of Jason Tatum in him.
Mm-hmm.
Just a big guy who can create shots, and also like the just defensive side of the ball.
He's 6'10",
6'9",
6'9", yeah. I feel like I seen something on Twitter one day of the Jason Tatum comparison. Actually, it was like Cooper can go into the league, develop his playmaking. Obviously, the defense already there, but that playmaking, how JT, shout out Max, but how JT went into the league as like, you know, a guy who was mainly a scorer, able to facilitate. The flashes were there, but mainly a scorer, shot creator at Duke. Boom, got his efficiency way up, got his driving ability against physicality way up, and then boom, the playmaking came, and now he's like top 10 in the NBA. You know what I mean? Every year, consistent guy. I feel like Flag has that same potential if he also ups his 3-point.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Is 3-point.
Yeah,
I think he's actually a better, like, just going into the NBA. I think he's a better playmaker than Tatum was.
Yeah.
But shooting wise, no, Tatum was a better shooter.
Mm-hmm.
He was those pull up threes that he was shooting at Duke was just insane.
Yeah.
Do
I would say, like, I mean, his comparisons right now in the NBA and Bleacher Report, it says defensively Andre Kirilenko, and then offensively Jalen Johnson.
I hear a lot about how I never watched him, but I hear a lot about how he was a good defender.
They said Jalen Johnson
as an offensive part. I think that is. I think that athletic wise and how he could get to the rim. I think they're also taking it from this year's Jalen Johnson, which before he got hurt, he was a most improved candidate
He was 15. He was 15-10-4.
So, but if we're gonna talk about, but like I said, I think he's reality wise, and if we're gonna go back in the day, I think he's more of like a more athletic version of Larry Bird. And I'm just saying that because they're both white, but I'm saying look at the amount of Well, he shot a lot of mid ranges. Larry did, and then once the 3-pointer came in, then he started shooting those threes. So I think with the mid ranges and just getting to the basket, I think he does it as well as Larry did. Not as more of a creative way, but just more of an explosive way. So that's why I can kind of see where they're talking about Jalen Johnson being that explosive. Defensive wise, I don't know. He's very active on defense, but I don't know how to compare him to somebody because you got to be 6'9" to move like that and jump like that.
I like, not that but just defensively, I like Jonathan Isaac. Because I just watched so much of Magic and just how good of a defender Jonathan Isaac is. He is. Like, if people don't really know about J.I., but if J.I. was on, like, let's say the Thunder or the Celtics, it'd be like, oh my God, he's one of the best defenders in the league. The Lakers, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, J.I.'s a great defender. He is.
And that's kind of he kind of reminds me of that.
Really?
But offensively, I don't. You say Larry Bird, and that's where we I don't think he operates from the same place as Larry did. Like Larry wasn't athletic. Cooper's a freak, and he.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I said a more athletic version of Larry Bird, like
Yeah,
a
but-
way more athletic version.
And this
obviously.
would be my only critique of Coop is he kind of and it's. I mean, he's 18. He's gonna play like this. He should play like this if this is how you're gonna go win games. It's helping you guys win games.
For sure.
But he kind of relies on his athleticism sometimes too much. Like he's jumping right over guys, and right now it's not much like okay, I'm a Euro up and under. It's not much of that, and that comes with obviously experience and all that. So it's not a huge critique. It's just age, but that's why I just don't see the Larry right now. I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
He's
he
not
doesn't.
the shooter.
And then too, I will say he doesn't play make like Larry.
Yeah, Larry was a lot of back to the basket, but that was mostly because it was 80s. So
Yeah,
everybody was
exactly.
Back to the basket.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. See right here.
Yeah. Jason Tatum, Larry Bird, Jonathan Isaac on defense. Well, there's our quick little college basketball debate. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.